Good thing I shaved and combed my hair this morning, huh? All right, that fascia. Because this project here is an S model, it's a little different than the one we've done before on the 50-inch. Okay, we still got a keeper of some kind there. On the 50-inch, you pull the whole bed off about as easy as pulling this fascia off. Forum there says that this is the way to do it, so we're taking his word for that. Pulling this fascia off. I guess I shouldn't say old pirate, I should say pirate.
Stuart, isn't it?
Stuart, yeah.
Stuart's his real name, yeah. And he lives in Colorado.
He lives in Cannon City, Colorado. So now, I think we're ready to get rid of some lines. Nice plug in here. Now on this fascia, you have a Phillips screw here, Phillips screw here, same on the other side, two little short Phillips screws. Then on the back side there's 4 screws here, and then there's 2 screws here, and that takes that off next. How come it is, Doug, them guys at NASCAR, they only do like
Yeah.
3 pumps.
Well, I bet if you had to do that all the time like they do, I bet you'd engineer something that works a lot faster than that thing.
Yeah, I'm sure the jack ray is a little different than what we got here. Let's see. Now, Doug, when you're riding, do you usually do a pre-ride check on your machine before you take off?
Yeah.
Check things over.
I do.
That's loose. Look at that. I can take them off by hand.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Wow, Doug. Well, these are all loose too. Somebody may have loosened them up when you went in to get coffee.
Yeah. I don't know. That's scary.
Yeah, I loosened them up when it was on the ground when you went in to get the cup of coffee.
Oh, daggone Les, man. I thought, what the heck? Let's see, I took it out at Christmas Day. I took it for a little ride.
My nephew was standing there taking care of a sagebrush or some other business, and he said, Les, you're missing a lug nut on that tire. And I had the fronts off. And I walked around there, and sure enough, I'd left one of them loose, and they came off. I was missing one. I thought he was messing with me.
That time it was serious.
That time it was serious.
Oh my.
Okay, I'm going to get rid of this. I like to use the impact for tear down, but when I go back with assembly,
Uh-huh.
I like to use a torque wrench. You know, if anything that's critical, like these here, they're kind of critical.
Right. Takes a little longer, but it's done right.
Yeah. If there's something apart, they like to put left stuff in, right stuff in, you know, in tubs.
Oh, okay.
You will run across some metric bolts on these. I wouldn't get dirty this morning. But the inside's fairly clean, so I can still eat cookies, so it's good. So if you nick them with your chainsaw, it didn't mess your chain up. And now they make them out of plastic.
Right.
This we're going to use, I'll loosen these motor mount bolts up, and then we'll bar that engine up and slide this in underneath the engine and the frame. And we'll need about 3/4 inch clearance to get that differential out.
Oh, okay.
So that'll slide in. Now we built these. So now the bolts that come out of this part, we'll put them in a separate container. Those two tubs, we've got the suspension and hub and stuff like that. This part here on the 50 doesn't come off on the 50-inch model. It's this part's all welded on. It's good you were taking pictures, Doug, so we can figure out where all this stuff goes back on. Let's see. Stuart pulled the whole exhaust header and everything off. Oh, the exhaust pipe. That's what he pulled off. So.
Is this the first 800S, Les, that you've done?
It is. It is. So we're
So the other ones were all trail models.
the other one I did. Actually, I've only done one other than that. Well, two. And Gary pulled his diff and brought the diff out. And they're not hard to pull. It's just kind of awkward to get to sometimes.
Engineer or something, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. This is a piece of 1/8 inch gas rod, acetylene welding rod. When I went back with mine, I put anise compound on there. Now, this on a 50-inch doesn't come out that easy because there's not as much room in the way the suspension is. But see, that gasket looks ugly, but it'll still seal.
Uh-huh.
So we're good there. All right, we're getting down into the nuts and bolts of things now. We need to get these off. These are nice.
Sorry about the small compressor.
Well, that's all right.
Got to run all the time.
No, I couldn't get that air wrench up in on this bolt.
Oh, uh-huh.
I had to try it a little bit first. I couldn't do it on mine either. I remember that.
So does the
See now,
the trail model frame and the S frame,
there's some differences.
there's some differences there.
But this bolt here, I couldn't get the ratchet on mine either because
Uh-huh.
of the differential. Now the other I can. I remember I was talking about the Loctite
Uh-huh.
earlier. See, this has Loctite on it.
Uh-huh.
So when we go back, we'll put a little dab of Loctite on it.
It's pretty obvious you've turned wrenches for a good while, but
Yeah.
a lot of guys can turn wrenches, but I've seen your engineering in making the tool to do the pinion nut repair is pretty awesome.
Well, I made a living as a heavy equipment mechanic. I worked in the mining industry for 44 years, and 42 of it was mechanic. The first 2 years I worked in the crushing plant, and I decided that wasn't home. Half here, the cover obviously was gone, and I didn't bring the ring gear and the carrier in. But this is the pinion. I'll spin this nut off. Okay, let's see. See, this one of Norm's, this inner bearing exploded, which would be this bearing right here.
Uh-huh.
Then there's this spacer, and this bearing goes on, which is this bearing here, and then this nut screws on over there, and then this nut backs off, so it loosens the preload up on these bearings, so it wobbles around.
Oh.
When it does that, then this pinion, the way the gears are designed, it goes into the ring gear further, which is here, and then it gets in there, and because it climbs up on the gear, then it pushes this to the side, breaks the spline end off that's up here that splines into the coupler to your transmission.
Uh-huh.
Well, when that breaks off, and then this gear ventilates the gear case. Big old hole out of there.
My goodness. And to replace that whole gear case is how much money?
It's $1,200, which
Plus your labor to,
plus labor.
plus all the labor.
And I
Probably
can't
another
say
1,000.
for sure. I'm just going to shove this all back in here so I don't lose parts. I can't say for sure, but I've been told that the dealer. This is the original nut. It had plastic in here, a nylock nut. I don't know for a fact, but I think the heat that's generated in there, I think heats that plastic up to where it loses its grip,
Uh-huh.
and then the vibration
And
lets it back
starts
off.
starts loosening up, backing off.
I'm not. A pillow would be nice too. Sure hope no jack stands hold this machine up. Actually, it's not hard getting the gearbox out, it's just getting to it. The worst part of it is there's 6 little bolts right up there. They've been referred to as, let's see, how can I be politically correct here? They're rather difficult to come out. They are location specific. Some of them are red, some of them are blue. So they need to go back in. This is one of the easy ones. There's a couple of these that are difficult. I'm gonna get my old crayon out, and I'm gonna mark these. So they go back in the same hole. The three that go in the diff are different than the three that go in the transmission, but I'm gonna mark these specifically, and then they have this little spacer. See, this is one of the red bolts, and it's had Loctite on it. You can see that red's Loctite. That's not the same red Loctite that we're gonna use on that pinion nut. There's a couple of different grades of bolt. So it has a specific location. So we're going to mark that one with an X. That one goes through the differential housing cover, hold that together, but it also goes through the rear mount here. That's why it's leverage. So what you do is put two of them together.
Nice. So how many bolts were in that?
In that bracket, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Have 9 bolts. These two here are just motor mount bolts. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts that go in the transmission to differential bracket. There's 8 of them, and they're color coded. The blue ones go into the transmission housing. The red ones go into the differential housing. Then we have this one green one which goes in through the differential housing, a bracket, and the rear mount. So and it has a nut. The rest of them thread into holes. This has a nut. So. Little bolt right there, and one little bolt right down there that needs to come off of that bracket. So I got the easy ones out, Doug. You can get the hard ones out. And this top bracket that's right down, or top bolt. If you can see it where my finger is, right in here, there's a bolt that goes into the differential housing here. You're taking that out, you want to be careful because there's a, I think this is a crank position sensor, I think it is. It's pretty close there in plastic, so you got to be careful you don't bang that up.
Okay, yeah.
And then there'll be one more bolt further down in there that we can actually see it from over here. You can see it right back down in there. You can see the bolt head right in there. And that bolts the adapter tube that goes from the transmission to the differential. That bolt there.
Okay.
And that one bolt up there, and then the differential is going to be loose.
Wow.
Except for the rear mount that I have one bolt left in that. But we're going to get this bracket bolt out the way. And then this bolt here is the one I was just talking about right there with that crank position sensor. It's this one right here.
Well, it takes some effort to get that bracket off, doesn't it?
Yeah, just get that out. And then we've got that one more bolt right down here. Once that one breaks loose, it's finger. It's what I call finger. It'll come out. The screws right out. So we're going to mark an X and an S. Maybe an S. And I'm going to mark an S. Right there. That's the only silver bolt there is, so they're kind of color-coded. Where'd our little
Right behind you there.
wedge right here? Okay. What we're gonna do is slide that wedge in there. What I've done is pull these motor mounts. I left the bolts just started in there. I think we'll have enough, and I did that so that it won't shift around, and then it'll make it easier to line up when we come back with it. Now that moment of truth. Yes. Okay, now we pull this back. There's a coupler in there. And that coupler sometimes will stay in. Sometimes you gotta push it in. That coupler wants to slide back that way a little bit. Yeah, there we go.
Ta-da!
Okay, it's all yours, Doug. I'm going home.
I got a headache.
Now you sound like my wife.
Great job.
The late 2008 up to when they quit building 800, 2014.
Yeah, last year.
And it doesn't matter if
2
it's a
years ago, yeah.
50-inch model like mine, if it's the two-seater, the four-seater,
They're all the same.
yeah, holding device. But now with this on here, this is the holding device model DP1 for Doug Pryor 1, because I had to modify this.
Oh,
For him.
that's a special edition for him, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'll probably cost you another cup of coffee. C-clamp. I chuckle. My grandson can't do that with a C-clamp. Grab it and spin it like that. It drives him nuts when I do it. I'll hand it to him. Josh, do this. Get out of here. Pull that seal out. Huh.
Okay.
Stuff there I didn't want to drop down the bearings. there,
Uh-huh.
so. There's actually metal inside. There's metal inside this. And when I drilled that hole, it was a drill shaving. He was having issues getting the seal out. I told him what I used. Here's the moment of truth. Is yours tight or is it loose? So,
I'm
grab-
betting it's loose.
grab hold of that wrench.
Okay.
Let me hold your camera for you.
Okay.
What are we doing? Down, where do we look?
Yeah, back up a little bit.
Oh,
maybe.
okay.
There we go.
Okay, now just pull on that wrench this way to loosen that up.
Ouch.
See, that's supposed to have 250 foot-pounds of torque.
That was nothing.
That was nothing. That was nothing.
What do you think that had on there? Not even 20 maybe, huh?
Probably, yeah, probably 20. And there wasn't quite that much, because when I pulled on that,
Uh-huh. You fell a little bit?
yeah,
Listen.
Yep, probably 15, 20 pounds, maybe.
Got 590 miles on my
Yeah, and
2012 800S.
see, Stuart just did that one in Colorado, his neighbors.
Uh-huh.
It's an S, 2012. It has, if I remember right, 1,100 miles. It was 1,100 or 1,700, right in that area. Less than 2,000 miles on it, and it was tight. He couldn't pull it, and he put the torque wrench on it, and it was tight. So,
My goodness. So it needed it.
there it is. You know, it's like crapshoot. Some toes are good, some aren't. This was loose.
Wow. Well, we made the right decision then.
Man. Yeah. But, yeah, see, it's the Loctite's there.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why they're loose, but anyway, I'll go ahead and finish taking that off. See, this is the part I haven't figured out how to make a ratchet on this.
Oh, wow.
But, you know, once we get it loose here.
So it wasn't broke, but it was broke.
It was, yeah, it wasn't broke, but it had the flu. I like to use brake clean to clean most of that off,
Uh-huh.
and then use a little bit of this electromotive contact cleaner, because this is good for electronics. It doesn't leave any residue, and I don't want any oily residue in there. That way, when we put the Loctite on it, then it'll hold better. If it had any oil residue on there, then that Loctite might not hold like it's supposed to. We'll just give this a bath. Hey, sweetie, in that box right over there on the table,
Yeah?
there's, bring that over, would you, please?
Those are parts I ordered for the fix.
We're going to use that there a little bit.
Okay.
This nut is a little wide brush, right?
It's a little cold. Yeah. Are you staying warm, Kyle?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
He's doing all the work.
Yeah. This is, not much in there to shake. This is Permatex 27200, which is the same as Loctite. Maybe this is an empty bottle.
You got another one?
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Oh,
want it open?
it's coming.
It's in a blue bottle and it's red Loctite.
Yeah. But not all red Loctites are created equal.
Exactly, yeah.
This This, when it sets up, it needs to be heated up to nearly 400 degrees to get it to come loose. This gives you about 20 minutes working time. Oh, grab that torque wrench right there. Black handled one. Right, yeah.
This one?
Torque wrench, the big long one right there.
Right here.
Yeah.
See the nut?
He made a tool for that to set in. He made all that. A lot of smart.
This is the nut?
One more bite.
All we need to do is put the nut. No, that's off the razor. That's the razor.
There it comes.
There we go. Now we got it coming our way.
And how many is that?
That's 118 pounds here.
Without the extension.
Yeah, it's 118 foot-pounds on the wrench,
Mm-hmm.
which to that nut is 250.
Play 20, 25 pounds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now it's
Now it's 250.
250 pounds torque.
So with that Loctite on there, why?
Pounds of torque, yeah.
You can see it down in there. I give that thread that nut a, what is it they call that? An ample coating of that. So now, I want to make sure I get all of that Loctite that may have got onto the spline here when that goes back together. Ready for a seal. Put a little bit of that on that seal so when it goes in there, it's got a little bit of lube.
And what do you use there?
It's grease. It's a Rotella heavy duty grease, lithium base. It's just
Okay.
it's a waterproof grease.
Uh-huh.
It's a good grease. Seal is, it's got a plastic rubber coating. There's a metal base in there.
Okay.
It has what's called a garter spring. It's this little fine spring that goes around and keeps compression on that seal.
Uh-huh.
To pull this out, I tried the seal puller and I didn't have any luck. So what I did is drilled a hole in, put
Uh-huh.
a sheet metal screw with my slide handle to pull that. Okay, that needs to be seated down in there about 3/8 of an inch to make room for the adapter. The transmission adapter.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to go around that just to make sure that it's. As you're going in, you can feel it
Uh-huh.
when it bottoms out. When it's been, you can see it recessed down in there.
Oh,
and
okay.
That seal has to go down, set down too.
Uh-huh.
So now, where's my grease on? I'm going to put a little bit of grease on this shaft. Shouldn't be any water ever get into this area, but this grease, this O-ring goes on that adapter over there, and it seals in this housing here. So I'll go put that on.
All right.
It goes transmission here
Okay.
and differential here. And to make that holding device, I'd buy one of these and cut it in half. And then that'll make two holding devices.
Okay.
But this coupler from Polaris is $150.
Yeah, you go right ahead.